Looking for accelerated career growth? Apply for open consulting roles at Palmtree today. Palmtree is a consulting firm with a private equity mindset. The firm focuses exclusively on M&A and the private equity investment lifecycle, helping clients maximize value while increasing bandwidth to source deals and raise capital. At Palmtree, you'll work with seasoned veterans from investment banking, consulting, Big Four accounting, and private equity. In addition, you'll learn the ins and outs of private equity and M&A advisory by working closely with the firm's senior leadership. Palmtree provides a unique opportunity to break into the M&A industry and experience accelerated career growth. The firm's elite leadership team is led by professionals who have worked in private equity, investment banking, Big Four accounting, strategy consulting at MBB, and corporate finance. The sky is truly the limit at Palmtree. Ready to love your work again? Learn more about Palmtree, see open roles, and apply today on the careers page at palmtreellc.com or click the link in the show notes. Welcome to another episode of Strategy Simplified. In this episode, we get to hear from Maher, who broke into ZS Associates as an MBA candidate. He joins us to share the details of the journey, including the triumphs and the failures in his case prep process. Here we go. Maher, welcome to Strategy Simplified. Super excited to have you on the podcast today.
Hi, Japheth. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're excited to dig into your background, to your story, and how you broke into ZS Associates. So first off, we'd love to get to know you, who you are, your journey. Can you just give us kind of a 60-second overview of your background?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Lebanon. I come from an entrepreneurial family. So my dad started his own business at a pretty young age. He owned a manufacturing business. And so when I was looking to pursue my bachelor's education, I was looking into something that is connected with the world of business. So I decided to major in economics. And after that, I sort of wanted to follow in his footsteps. And so I co-founded a fast-moving consumer goods business with my twin brother. So the idea behind our business was to introduce the Lebanese market to consumer products that are designed for the US and European markets. So essentially, we were a distribution business that would, buy imported products and distribute them into the market. And during my time at, in that company, I discovered that I wanted to sort of formalize my knowledge of business. And so that's why I decided to pursue my MBA and decided to pivot into consulting. And my MBA was, crucial in me breaking into consulting.
Great. So you have this entrepreneurial background. You're raised in an entrepreneurial family. Then you decide you want something different. So you go get your MBA. At what point in there did you decide that consulting is kind of what you figured that you might want to do for a career?
I actually had a plan to break into consulting before pursuing my MBA. And I guess a big part of the reason why I decided to do consulting wanted to pivot into consulting is because of my entrepreneurial background. So I started the distribution business fresh from undergrad. So what that means is there's a lot of mistakes that I did along the way. And I was cognizant of the fact that I just lacked a lot of business knowledge. And I remember thinking to myself, I wish we had access to consultants who are, very manual people. They can sort of make sense of a situation that's ambiguous. And I sort of wanted to kind of, try that consulting lifestyle and see if it's true what they say about consultants. So that's kind of what put consulting under my radar, and figured out pretty early on that in order to break into consulting, it's not a necessity, but it does make your life a little easier to break into consulting. An MBA was necessary.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier that your MBA was kind of essential in you landing in consulting. How did that help you as far as a skill set or mindset or connections? Just kind of what was the value there in the MBA?
So for me personally, I think the MBA was definitely crucial in me breaking into consulting. And I think it's primarily for a couple of reasons. One, it sort of formalizes that business knowledge that you learn in school, or even the business knowledge that you knew prior to starting business school. When you pursue your MBA, it sort of, formalizes that knowledge. And so that makes you, I think, more marketable for consulting firms. So that's first. Second, I think that you also get introduced to new, to soft skills and hard skills as well. But starting with the hard skills, so something that I learned in business school that I didn't realize I really enjoyed was statistics and business analytics. So I just loved, all of my business analytics classes, primarily because I felt that they help you kind of make better decisions, scientific decisions. If I can say that, about the business world. Like, say, for example, you're trying to launch a new product to the market. So like some of the cases we did would focus on this company that's trying to launch like a product to the market. So you can, analyze some of the data that they give you in business school, and whether you like run regressions or whatever, and sort of find an answer scientifically as to like what market you need to target. What price you need to put that product on. And in terms of soft skills, I think business school teaches you to network and just to, know how to talk about yourself professionally significantly better compared to before kind of joining an MBA program. So that helped me when I was recruiting for consulting. Whether it's sending cold emails to some folks in whatever firm it is that you're trying to learn more about. And there's, specific things that you need to learn how to do well. So, for example, how should you, write your email? How do you introduce yourself? How long should your email be? Should there be like a call to action at the end of the email? So all of that stuff you learn in business school, and it's very good in terms of like teaching you how to do those things better, as opposed to you not being and having a business school background.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that. We get a lot of questions from people who are weighing an MBA. Should I get it? Should I not? What's the value in it? And so I think a lot of folks are going to find your answer helpful in that situation. And so you received an offer from ZS Associates, which is a fantastic firm. Can you quickly share which office did you sign onto? And then we'll go high level on this. So you said you're from Lebanon. You've got a varied background. So for anybody, let's just say they're not based in the U.S. They're wanting to break into consulting in the U.S. Do you have one or two insights or pieces of advice for them for setting themselves apart in the consulting recruiting process? We'll be right back after this quick message from our sponsor. The world's most influential companies look to LEK Consulting to enable growth, prepare for the future, and increase their impact. If you're ready to be a part of a top strategy consultancy, the firm is actively looking to add to its team of 1,800 consultants across 20 global offices. At LEK, you'll work on a wide variety of business problems to help clients solve their most pressing issues, from revenue growth to M&A to performance improvement and more. In addition, you'll gain exposure to a range of industries and problem types, resulting in world-class career progression opportunities. Ready to start making an impact from day one? Learn more about current opportunities and apply today at lek.com or click the link in this episode's show notes.
In terms of the office, I chose to apply to the Boston office. And that's for personal reasons. My brother lives in Boston. My family wanted to move to the US. I just wanted, us to kind of build roots in one city where we're close together. And so it just made sense that Boston would be the city of my choice. And I would tell people that, when you're thinking about an office in consulting, when you're applying to whatever consulting firm, I think you should consider two things. So one, think of the office from a personal perspective. So is that a city I want to live in? And I feel like this is sort of cliche, but it's really true. You need to live in a city where you're happy. And so that's the first thing you should consider. I think the second thing, which is less important in my opinion, would be the practice areas that that consulting firm does in that city. The reason why I say it's less important is because you can be based in, so for example, for ZS, the Chicago office does a lot of non-healthcare stuff. Although I'm based in Boston, I can still work with the team in Chicago because of they have a national kind of staffing model. So kind of be aware of the staffing model of the firm you're applying to and when you're kind of trying to make a decision in terms of the office. That was the first part of your question. Can you remind me of the second part?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was about international people and how they can kind of, stand out in terms of their application when they're applying to consulting.
Exactly. Yep.
I think you should think of yourself as anyone who's applying to consulting firms. Honestly, I don't think, as an international applicant, I didn't feel that I necessarily had an edge over anyone else or a disadvantage over anyone else. I think that there's definitely some value that you add. That's just like my 2 cents on the matter. There's definitely value that you add as an international hire. So, for example, speaking about myself, I worked in the Middle East for most of my career. So, if ever I'll be working on a project where the client is based in the Middle East, I'd probably have more to add than someone who didn't necessarily live in the Middle East, or for someone who, doesn't have experience about the Middle Eastern market. So as an international hire, you will, I guess like what I'm trying to say, as an international hire, you will have perspective that other folks in the US maybe won't have in terms of, whatever country you come from. But in all honesty, I didn't feel that I was at an advantage or disadvantage compared to the other folks applying.
We'll be right back after this quick break.
Have you ever heard a new digital trend and thought to yourself, okay, does this really matter? Asking the right questions helps you cut through the noise and get down to what matters most. I'm Jim Hertzfeld, host of the What If, So What podcast, where we discover what's possible with digital and figure out how to make it real by asking what if, so what, and most importantly, now what? Subscribe and listen, and together we can turn big ideas into tangible actions so you can get shit done.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thanks for sharing all of that. That was really helpful for sharing the tips for how to choose your office, and then as well as viewing your background not as a hindrance, but actually as an advantage. Super helpful. And so now you shared high level. Now let's go a little bit more granular on just your process for breaking into ZS. We all know about consulting interviews, case interviews. Can you share your interview prep process there? What was your strategy there, and how did you execute on it?
All right. So I guess trying to think how to organize my answer. So you're right. I think the biggest hurdle in consulting interviews is the case interview, more than the behavioral interview, because I feel like most of us are already sort of prepared on how to do behavioral interviews even before applying to business school. Something that I also want to mention. So as I talk about my interview with Zias, I think it's important to note that, this is just based on my experience, and the firm does make some changes every now and again in terms of the interview process for post-MBA hires or MBA hires. So just something to keep in mind. So talking about my journey into breaking into consulting, first year of business school, you get a chance to intern at a company because you recruit twice in business school, first year and then second year. So first year I tried breaking into Zias, it didn't work. And I think the kind of main issue with my first try at Zias was just not having enough, not doing enough work in terms of case interviews. Also, something else that I wanted to mention, when you're in business school, you get access to, and I think that's, the case for most business schools in the US, you get access to their consulting club. So the consulting club generally does a good job in terms of preparing you for consulting interviews, in particular case interviews. But I think something that I kind of didn't do very well during my first year is I underestimated the case interview prep. And so despite the fact that I knew that I wanted to break into consulting, I just underestimated the time that it was going to take me to, be able to answer the case interview questions in a very structured and succinct manner. I also underestimated time that it's going to take me to kind of, know the essential frameworks, like, for example, the profitability framework or market entry, etc. frameworks. So you need to know these frameworks, have them in the back of your mind when you're interviewing and kind of know them by heart, when you're doing a case interview. It doesn't mean that you should spit them out, verbatim as to what you learned them initially, but just means that if you learn them by heart, you'll be able to use them in a flexible way to make your answer kind of customizable to the case interview. So after the first year, I just realized that, I didn't do a good job prepping for cases. So I started doing a lot of research on how to prep for cases. And I used literally every resource that was available to me. So I connected with the career office in business school, connected with second years or folks that broke into consulting to do some case interviews with them, practice case interviews, used YouTube a lot, watched a lot of recordings of people doing case interviews, again, memorized those frameworks. And then finally, I actually hired a case coach from Management Consulted. I worked with Lisa in particular, mostly for case prep. And we had a plan in terms of, things that we need to work on when I was prepping for a case interview. So for example, if I remember correctly, the first step was to kind of memorize the frameworks. And so she gave me homework. She said that, just do a lot of cases on your own and then just do the framework question. So that's the first question that you come across. And then we started working our way into quant and then, graph analysis, brainstorm questions and things like that. And, just practice, I think, helps a lot. And something else that I found very helpful is recording myself and just listening to my recordings to see if my answer does sound, structured enough for a case interview.
Amazing. Maher, those are super helpful tips. Really love that the whole thing. And you tried, you didn't do it right the first time. So you went back to the drawing board, decided to invest and research really best practices. And I love that. Thanks for sharing all those resources. I love that how you kind of pulled on everything that you had at your disposal. Even ultimately hiring, putting your money where your mouth is and investing in this process. And I'm glad you worked with Lisa. Lisa's amazing. She's one of our top coaches here. And for any folks listening, if you're in the same boat, you can actually work with Lisa one-on-one via case or fit interview coaching. So we'll make sure to link to that in the show notes.
And I just want to mention, as an MBA applicant, when you're applying to consulting, especially if you're applying as a second year, you probably do have the money to afford someone like management consultant because of your summer internship, because they typically pay well. So I think, yes, it is kind of the onus is on you to kind of, either take it a step further and have like professional help or maybe doing a lot of work on your own, to get there in terms of case interviews. Because I think if I did take that journey on my own without the help, like without Lisa's help, it would have taken me significantly more to get there. So just an FYI, I think, to like MBA students who are listening.
Love that. And so as we kind of gear towards wrapping up here, do you have just one final tip or piece of advice, piece of encouragement to share for somebody who maybe was in your spot, a year ago? They're in the thick of it, in the thick of prep. And like just one thing you would share to encourage them.
Yeah, I think first, don't give up. A lot of people interview for consulting. A lot of people don't get in, so it's not easy to interview for consulting. And I think it's helpful to kind of be cognizant of that. And knowing that, just know that, depending on where you're at, because some people just get casing right away. Some people, we all have different journeys. And, your journey might be shorter or longer than others. So just remember that it's your journey and just put in the work and you'll eventually get there. Believe in yourself, I think. Second thing, I think convince yourself that you love cases, that you love casing, fake it till you make it. So I think if you think of casing, and you put in the back of your mind that you're enjoying the process, you will actually enjoy the process, when you're practicing or doing case interviews. At least it worked for me. So I used to, try and get my energy up before doing practice case interview with friends. Something else that helped me a lot was to give cases to people that needed case interview prep. So first years that just joined the program and were preparing to do consulting recruiting. And the reason why I think that helped is because you need to prep the case beforehand before giving it to someone else. And so you'll sort of memorize the framework beforehand and kind of, know the ins and outs of the case. So you need to have a deep knowledge of kind of the business problem that you're trying to solve. So I think that's very helpful as well. And yeah, I think that these were, kind of my advice for people applying to consulting.
Yeah, love that. Love those two tips. Thanks for sharing. So, Maher, what you've started at ZS this summer, but you haven't really gotten into a lot of project works. But what are you kind of most looking forward to at the firm?
So I'm looking forward to learning about the world of healthcare. I think if you're at ZS, a lot of the work that you'll be doing is focused on healthcare, pharma, and biotech projects. So I'm really looking forward to learning about the different dynamics that these industries have compared to, traditional business. And I think it's interesting because you need to think of those industries as a business as well, kind of how to be profitable, but also keeping in mind, patient impact and kind of patient satisfaction and things like that. So looking forward to learning more about those industries. I'm also looking forward to, trying to drive some internal stuff at the firm. So currently, since as you mentioned, I'm not working on a lot of projects, so I have some free time. I'm trying to be involved internally with the Pride at ZS Club. So trying to get the word out about a nonprofit that I'm really passionate about within the firm, hopefully to maybe create like some sort of corporate partnership with that nonprofit, NZS. So just kind of, trying to stay busy and be involved internally as well.
Amazing. Well, we're super excited for you. Please do keep us posted on your career at ZS and beyond. Maher, thank you so much for joining Strategy Simplified. It was great to hear your journey and learn more about how you broke into ZS.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening and for being a valued member of the Management Consultant and Strategy Simplified community. If you enjoyed today's conversation with Maher, we'd love to hear from you. Simply shoot an email to podcast@managementconsulted.com to share your thoughts, questions, or ideas for the podcast. We'll catch you on another episode shortly.